Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Non-Native Leader, my video podcast series where we explore the lives, the stories, the adventures of people who were not born in an English-speaking country, but today they work internationally and they use English for their job. And if you follow the series, you've seen we've spoken to people in fintech, IT, the arts, politics, a whole range of different and diverse backgrounds. And yes, so my name is Daniele, I'm the host, and today I am really happy to have here with me Sofia Vicedomini. And as usual, I'm not going to spoil it, but you're very welcome, Sofia.
Thank you.
And yeah, so I usually start with, hence the fact that I don't want to spoil it, with the basic question. So, who are you? What do you do? And where are you?
So about the where, I am in Europe.
Okay, that's probably a bit too vague. Yeah, can we,
So
can we
at the
narrow it
moment,
down?
I decided to stay in Rome, to come back to my hometown of Rome. For the moment, we'll see the future, but in my past, I've relocated 14 times.
14 times. Okay, is that a
14.
record now?
Yeah.
I need to check with the previous guests, but yeah, it might be a record.
And I mean, 14 if I counted them all correctly, because I lived in many houses around Rome. I lived in Milan. I lived in Edinburgh and in the West Lothian in Scotland. That's why you hear a certain accent. And I lived in Nice in France.
Cool.
Donc je peux
Okay.
parler aussi français.
Oui, on va
But
faire un nouvel épisode
en français.
en français. But not today, not today.
Not today. Today
I'm not ready for that.
we're sticking to English.
Yes, thank you.
And so I saw the industry, the information technology industry across all of Europe, because for my work I traveled from the easternmost in Portugal to the westernmost in Portugal to the
Yeah, you have a map behind you, so yeah.
that's Tamriel from the
Okay.
Elder Scrolls.
So we can't use it for to locate Portugal.
And no, we can use to locate it Skyrim. And so from the westernmost Portugal to the easternmost, which is the Czech Republic, I've been so far. But I'm planning to see much more. And I mean, southernmost Italy, of course, which is the southernmost country I've been so far in Europe, and the northernmost Scotland.
Okay,
And
okay. Wow.
what I do, I
Yes, I'm curious. I because I obviously I've been talking to you, but I still don't understand it fully. So please, can you explain it?
so a long time ago, when I was a little child, let's say that my uncle gave me free copies of video games. I will not explain any more details on that. But it was the time of MS-DOS, Windows 95.
Okay.
I had this very cute Windows 95 computer that my father gifted to me. It was his old computer with Sound Blaster 16 sound card and a Hercules video card with 16 megabytes of video RAM. It was huge at the time because
Yeah.
my dad is an engineer as well, and he's an electrical engineer. He used to be top manager at the Institute for National Security, non security, social security
Sure.
in Italy. So, Istituto Nazionale Previdenza Sociale.
Okay. Yeah,
For those
I
of
think
you
we
who
all
are in
get it. Yeah.
Italy, for those of you who know the Italian market and social system. And he taught me the first thing he thought was okay to teach me was how to use a computer with Windows 95 on it and how to use AutoCAD.
Okay. So he got you into, yeah, playing around with computers and with software and with different things. Okay.
Exactly. And then my uncle came with floppy disks of video games And my first video game was Prince of Persia by
Oh,
Jordan
sure.
Mechner of 1989 for MS-DOS,
Yeah, I
and
do
it got me
remember it.
hooked. It got me hooked. I still don't have it because I'm relocating, but I have the big box, like the
Sure.
OG big box from the late 80s at home at my parents' home.
Yeah. Okay.
And from there, my passion for computer obviously sparked. And it went on during my childhood. Also, because at some point we got a Windows XP computer, and I started studying Fortran. I started studying Visual Basic and Basic and Turbo Pascal,
Okay.
all because I was bored.
Okay. Wait a second. So you felt you were bored and you started studying languages, like coding languages. Is that what you
Exactly.
did? Okay. So
Exactly.
boredom is not bad after all.
No, I think boredom is the key to success.
Cool.
Embracing boredom is the key to success.
Okay. That's a very interesting take. I like it.
Yeah, because you know why we don't innovate anymore? Because we have cell phones that steal our attention.
Hmm.
And since we are not bored anymore, we cannot see where are the problems that we can solve.
Yes.
That's
So
my
we
take.
get distracted and we don't focus anymore. We don't get bored anymore, so we can't create. Okay. Yes.
Exactly.
I really like
Boredom is
this
the
take.
key. Boredom is the key to creation.
Okay. Yes, I'm going to print that out and stick it in front of me here. I just want to see it every day. Yes. So, okay, we need to get bored more. I love this.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And so from
And
boredom to learning languages and then
yeah, because
to
I wanted to
getting
learn
into
languages because I wanted to mod video games.
okay, of course.
So I had this Windows XP computer with um not so legal copy of GTA San Andreas.
Okay.
I got a legal copy afterwards,
Okay, fair play.
but I got this copy of GTA San Andreas and I wanted to make mods for it. And I started playing on a mod that was called SAMP, San Andreas Multiplayer. And this mod had a plugin system using a scripting language named Pawn, like chess, the item in
Okay,
chess,
sure, the pawn, yeah, of
the
course.
pawn in chess. So this language was called Pawn. It was a scripting language that was almost identical to C, to procedural C.
Sure.
And with that, you could write game modes for this plugin, for this mod for
Okay.
GTA.
So it was like
And
heaven to you because finally you could
exactly,
interact with a video game in the way you wanted. Okay.
exactly. I was able to write code to direct a game in the way I wanted. And I
Okay.
made some little role-playing mods, not mods, but like plugins for GTA SM San Andreas multiplayer. And it was very little. I became a moderator on big servers back in the time because there was a huge community in Italy. And I became moderator on a lot of forums on Forum Free for those of
Okay.
us who are old enough.
Okay, let's not touch that on that, yeah. Let's not talk about age and white
In the good old
gray
days of the
hair.
internet.
And so, like, so you're talking about video games and then learning languages because you were bored and interacting even with your video games and changing them. So how did that transition in what you're doing today?
It happened through accident.
Hmm.
So I am autistic and I have ADHD, and I was only diagnosed 2 years ago. So during my childhood, I was this problematic kid at school that every teacher wanted to ignore. Every teacher said I was impossible. They just wanted me to go away in some sort of a way. And they even said sorry after. So, I mean, it's important they recognize their mistake. But if they recognized it earlier, it would have been easier for me during
Yeah.
my childhood. Because during my childhood, also because of my autism, I didn't have any friends. I mean, I have very little connection, little human connection. It was mostly with elderly people. And that's because as an autistic person, I feel emotions in a way that is different. And my brain is very rational. And empathy is something I learned. It's not something I have naturally. Henceforth, had to learn how to understand people. I had to psychoanalyze people to understand what they meant when they were doing something. And I always felt during my whole life as a fish out of the water.
Right.
And so I focused my attention on computers because with computers it was easy. It was straightforward. It was binary. Either I wrote something bad or the computer was wired bad. It was nothing else.
Yeah, one or the other, really. Yeah,
One or the
exactly. It's
other. Either
binary.
an electrical problem or a human problem. No.
Or
So it was for me it was perfect because I had a way to interact with the world that helped me create, helped me have even an artistic way of doing things. Because I started at some point visualbasic.net as well. So I started early on with all the Microsoft technologies, and now I am very far away from that. But I started on VB.net, and one of the first thing I created, I actually published it on an Alter Vista website I did in the time. For those, so Alter Vista is a free hosting that we had in Italy. I think it's still online somewhere, bought by Aruba, and um, and on that I hosted this software I wrote. That was the early days of Windows Vista, and I wrote this tool who took the Vista CD image, the ISO file,
okay.
formatted a USB stick in a bootable way. So format to FAT32, mark it as bootable, load the data from the disk into the USB stick, and then I had a bootable USB stick for Windows Vista to install off my netbook that's still somewhere here that
Right,
now I
right,
use
right.
as a retro gaming computer.
Okay, of course. Why
And
not?
that's how I started writing like
Wow.
actual software. And I built a little web browser in Visual Basic back in the time. Then a friend of mine told me, "Hey, I was still at middle schools. I was not yet in high school. I was
So,
12,
yeah,
13, 13-ish.
you were young.
I
Absolutely.
was very young." And a friend of mine who was my neighbor, he was 5 years, 6 years older than me. He's still 6 years older than me, but
Yeah,
still my friend.
technically, yeah.
And he told me, "You should come to the Institute for Technology. You should not go to any other high school. You should do
Right.
the computer science program there." So as an high school, I went there because before that, I was about to go to the touristic high school because they had computers in it.
So you just focused on the computers
Exactly.
and you wanted to use them. Well, I mean, thinking about it, it was obviously the right choice to go to the
Yeah,
technology institute. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it's like the sliding doors, right? So,
exactly.
oh yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
And there I learned a lot of new things because I had some teachers that were very good teachers that helped me through my difficulties I had earlier due to my neurodivergencies. Because I had former university teachers that went back to high school. Sorry. And they taught differently, for example, mathematics,
Sure.
because I had a huge problem, a huge deficit in mathematics when I was younger.
So you had to catch up, obviously, yeah.
Exactly. And also with English. I was unable to speak English before high school.
Yeah, it's Surprise. I mean, I don't know, sometimes the right teacher can trigger something and then you start this
Exactly.
learning process and then you become
Exactly.
unstoppable.
Exactly. Two main focus for my English development before moving to Scotland were my English teacher at high school, who I remember dearly, and video games.
Cool.
Because in the meantime, I was still playing video games. Will be playing video games, studying at night, and sleeping in high school in the morning.
Okay. Probably not the best, but
I mean, it worked.
it did work for you.
I had an average rate of 10 out of 10 in IT, in computer science, in com- in those topics. I
Yeah,
had an average of 7 to 8 in other topics, except for Italian, because for Italian literature I was a bit behind at the time
sure, sure. Okay.
because because I think I didn't get the right teacher who got me hooked on it.
Yeah, it's not easy, but at the same time, it shows like the passion can actually bridge the gap, like in your case. So it started as a young kid, and then, it took you to what you do today, which is great. Just all through passion and all through the fact that you managed to find a way to communicate through computers, video games, coding, which
Exactly.
I think it's a brilliant story. And
And in video games, I learned English
exactly. And then,
uh,
yeah, and then you
because I was playing online on Crossfire, on all sorts of online video games or shooting video games because at the time
yeah.
it was all the rage, and also on Metin 2 for those who can remember it.
Okay.
And from there on, I learned English and I spoke English almost every day.
Yeah, because you were forced. Once you play video
Exactly.
games online, you are
Exactly.
forced to
Because I was
interact
playing
with.
with Germans, French, British, Americans, Russians, Polish, Czech people from all across the world, essentially.
Wow.
And so English was our common language. And after high school, I started university. I went on to study engineering, software engineering at Roma Tre University. And in the meanwhile, I got called by a consultancy company in Albano Laziale, which is a small town south of Rome.
Sure.
And I was the only one they hired of the 12 people they called.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. So,
And with them, actually worked on the speed, the digital identity of the Italian
sure.
government.
Yeah. Yeah. The
I did
digital identity.
a
Okay.
metadata service for it for one of the
Okay.
providers. And this was one of my first projects, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And then I worked with big pharmaceutical companies such as Roche, such as Novartis, uh, always with this consultancy company. And with them, I worked. Two of the biggest clients were the Vatican Bank,
Sure.
where I had to write something that was crazy because at the time, I hope they changed it. But at the time, they had a very old Oracle document management system that was nearly not documented. And I had to reverse engineer it. And from that reverse engineering process, I had to understand how to communicate with it. So I found its communication protocol that was through binary communication
Whoa.
over network. So a binary RPC and some XML RPC connections. And they wrote a whole library just to communicate with it and create a wrapper to control copies of documents because it
Right.
was the time of a big scandal in the Vatican where documents from the Vatican Bank were exposed. So they
Okay.
wanted
Okay.
to
So the
enforce
security wasn't really effective, was it?
security
Cool.
should always be the first point when you do
Yeah.
software.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And people forget this. And from
Wow.
there on, I started my career. At some point, I got a very interesting offer from Milan. I relocated to Milan. And while I was there in Milan, working in a content lab, which is an Italian company doing email marketing automation.
Sure.
I got called by two friends, and these two friends said, "We got funded. Do you want to become a CTO?" I was 22.
Wow. And it was a great opportunity, of course, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I
Wow,
learned a
wow.
lot. I learned a lot because we were at the Louis with L Venture,
Which
which was a
is like
venture
a
capital.
private university, isn't it?
Louis
Yeah,
is a
it's
private
just
business
just
university,
explaining for people who might not be familiar with it.
and they did a joint venture with L Venture Group that was a venture capital to do a startup program to fund early stage startups to give them seed money to start a business.
Sure.
And now L Venture got in another joint venture. Now they're called Zest Group, if you may know them. And so they funded us, they gave us money, they gave us an office, they gave us headquarters, our first like place where to stock our products because our startup was essentially a pharmaceutical company because
Sure.
we were building customized supplements for sport people.
I see.
So, and there was a lot of legal stuff to to overcome, both
Yeah.
data-wise, because we were collecting health data from our customers, because we need to know if you have like health problems, so that we know you should not take caffeine as a supplement,
Okay,
just to
sure. So there's
minimize
a
the
lot
risk.
of information you have
Yeah, because
to
one of the
get to
things we had to
manage to
write was
yeah.
this little, we called artificial intelligence at the time. We were a seed startup. It was not artificial intelligence.
You were ahead of the time in a
I
way.
mean, I mean, it was a real technology. It was just not boomed like it boomed recently, but it was a series of cascading if and else, a series of cascading conditions, a very complex algorithm I wrote for analyzing the user input from a 10 question form into understanding what kind of supplements was best for them.
Sure.
And
So
this we collaborated with one of the co-founder who already had a food supplement brand and with a biologist.
okay. Well, so it was like, yeah, full on. So from playing with video games to getting into a startup as a CTO. So you see, like again, we can sort of see the passion because he's really passionate about this when you talk about it, which is great. But I'm curious about one thing. So, like now you went to Milan. So this passion, this approach brought you in all parts of Europe, uh,
Yes,
and which is interesting. So the international part, right?
that's
So
common.
how did it feel for you? So getting into sort of an international market and exploring new countries. So I'm interested in this part.
So after the startup, after almost a year of doing the startup, we had some divergences with the other co-founders. We are still friends. We are still chill between each other. We chat every time, and we had our divergences. And so I decided to do my little exit. I got out of the company and I started searching for a job. And my thought at the time, it was 2018, I said, you know what? Anywhere but Italy.
So you wanted a big change now.
Exactly. I wanted a big change. I wanted a big change because I realized the Italian market was not valuing my expertise well. And I ended up out of randomness in Scotland, in this Scottish startup now that became a scale up, which is called NC Tech, which is a company that does 360 cameras with LiDAR technology. So they scan at 360 viewpoint angle with LiDAR. So they also have all the 3D metadata to the image as well.
Wow.
and they are a supplier of Google.
Okay, 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 I get it. And how did it feel for you to be
It
there in Scotland?
felt
So first
it
time in a new
felt
country.
it felt like home. Scotland was home for
Okay,
me.
wow, that's great.
And when I started there, I had this colleague whose name is Fraser, and he was from Glasgow. And for those who know the Glaswegian accent, he's the hardest of all of Scotland.
Yes, we've all heard
So
of it.
in my first few months there, I was unable to understand him.
Yeah. Okay.
But after a while, I started to get it. And in the meantime, I also got a partner that was from Glasgow. And good part of our relationship was me saying yes without understanding.
Oh gosh. That's probably that really helped somehow, but yeah, it is not ideal, I guess.
We ended up in some very beautiful places. Like she
Okay.
brought me to a little lake under a waterfall to do a bath in the summer, and it was
Okay.
amazing. It was amazing.
Okay. And
So I
obviously
don't
you
regret
didn't you
it.
didn't know you were going there because you didn't
Yeah,
understand it, but you said yes.
exactly, exactly. It was fantastic. And
Okay.
after some years, COVID happened.
Oh
So we
yeah.
were locked in. I was locked in my little countryside villa that I was paying almost nothing for because I was in the West Lothian. Rent was £540 for a portion of a
It
villa.
was affordable, definitely.
My salary was £3,300 a month
Yeah,
net.
so it was like less than a sixth of your salary to pay for rent, which is just
Exactly.
ideal. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was 20 minutes from the office
Cool. Yeah.
by
So
train.
so you found your ideal spot over there.
Exactly,
Except
exactly.
then
And
COVID came. And so what impact did COVID have on your, I don't know, dream life in Scotland?
so it really was not COVID because COVID was bearable. I think the thing that impacted me the most was Brexit.
Sure. Oh
Was
yeah,
Boris Johnson, was Brexit,
another big
and
one.
was J.K. Rowling her that started to harass trans people because I am a transgender person and I did my transition there in Scotland.
Sure.
So during that period of time, the harassment from J.K. Rowling spiraled. The Brexit spiraled because Boris Johnson was elected. So what happened in late 2020? It was confirmed. It was confirmed there was a hard Brexit, and from that, also the only pharmacy that was supplying me with hormones was being attacked by a group of TERF.
Okay. So yeah, so things started to change, obviously. The mood,
Exactly.
the whole
And I
thing.
moved back
Yeah.
to Italy.
Okay.
I moved
Okay.
back to Italy. I started a company in Italy, but then I got sick with COVID. I got sick with mononucleosis, and my company failed.
Okay.
I became a manager in Calera, that now has been acquired by Tata Communication. Then I moved as a manager into Urbi, a Telepass Group company, which is one of the major companies in Italy. Telepass, it's the toll company of
Yeah,
Italy.
sure. Sure. Yeah.
And then from there, I realized I wanted a bit more focus on actual code. So in 2023, I opened a personal VAT. So I started freelancing solo. And from there on, I freelanced in Italy. I worked in France. I worked through Alten. I worked in Thales in France
Sure.
doing R&D. And then I decided to move back to Italy because in Italy I have all my connections, I have all my friends. My partner lives here in Italy and has a pub here in Rome, so
So it sounded like the obvious choice, yeah, after
Exactly.
your adventure there. Okay.
Exactly. So I spent my 20s learning and moving and exploring Europe. And now that I'm 30 years old, I'm settling here in Rome. And after 3 years of freelancing, I'm starting my own business, my own consultancy company, because in these 3 years, I built a reputation of being that freelancer that it's not reliable about meetings, but is reliable about output.
So you can deliver though you're late for meetings. Is that the way it works?
Exactly.
Okay, okay. Well,
Exactly.
yeah, I think we
Exactly.
can all accept that. Yeah.
Because especially if you put meetings in the morning, it's something I really dislike because I think it's a disrespect to put meetings in the early mornings, like 8 a.m., 9 a.m.
Okay.
I had banking customers that wanted meetings at 8:30 a.m. and it was like, you're out of your mind.
It's not gonna happen.
Exactly.
Definitely. Okay. Well, I get you. Yeah. I see what you mean. So, wow, it's been a journey, right? So we started from receiving some floppy disk from your uncle, and now you are talking about consulting and delivering software for big companies. You had your international experience, so it's great. It's really rich, I think. Now, one question that I would like to ask you is, imagine someone who's, I don't know, watching or listening to this and is thinking, okay, I'd love to have an international experience. So, what recommendation would you give? What kind of recommendation would you give to someone who wants to have an international experience?
Switch to this phone.
Okay. What kind of phone is it for someone who's
It's a ve-
listening?
it's a feature phone, so you
Okay.
don't have distractions
Okay.
and only use a smartphone for business.
It looks
And
like
this
one of the old Nokia phones that I had when I
it's a
was
Nokia phone.
younger. Okay.
It's a Nokia phone, indeed.
Okay.
And disconnect from the internet to reconnect with the world, to reconnect with boredom, to really focus on what matters to you. This is the key to take back control of your life. So the first step is take back control. Remove useless notifications, remove useless social media notifications, essentially, and focus on your time. Make sure that everything that takes your time is worthwhile. Because 1 hour you spend on Facebook is 1 hour you do not invoice.
Oh, yeah. Love the approach. So buy back your time in a way. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes. I think that's precious advice. And then, buy back your time, get bored so you get more creative and you find new way of solving problems, new way of doing things. And it gives you more freedom to explore yeah, we have a huge playground out there, so go out and explore. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. The
Love
key to good
this.
software is solving a pain point for someone.
Yes, it's not the coding itself, it's the problem you need to solve.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love this. I think it's precious advice, so thank you. Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you.
And look, it's been a great chat. I think your story is truly fascinating, and you clearly show that passion can take you anywhere, both in terms of location, Scotland, and in terms of business and what you do. So thank you very much for being my guest, Sophia.
Thank you for hosting me.
And everybody, thank you very much for sticking around, for watching, for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Goodbye.